Hello and welcome to my channel. Thanks for clicking on this video. I'm Ava and I'll be narrating the best stories for you. Please don't forget to like before listening to the story. Now let's get into tonight's narration. Arash, my brother, threw his legs up on the coffee table, smirked, and said, "If you were a decent woman, your husband wouldn't have divorced you because of the baby. You just weren't good enough, that's why he did it. We didn't see through you, but he did." My mom snapped angrily. "What nonsense are you talking about? Shut your mouth, Arash. And why on earth should he give you $5,000? Arash widened his eyes and shamelessly said, "If he doesn't give it to his brother, then who? He's just letting the money sit in the bank, not even thinking about his brother who needs cash." My hands were trembling. I felt sick, broken. I had never been able to defend myself for God's sake, and now I was disgusted with my own weakness. With anger boiling inside me, I shouted, "What do you want from me? Why should I give you money? Did you ever give me anything back when I needed it? Have you ever been any good to me? All I have in this world is that money. My husband is divorcing me with it. Those $5,000 are my whole future. And you've set your eyes on it? Over my dead body will you touch it?" The fight escalated. For the first time in my life, I had stood up for myself. But he twisted it around, acting like he was the one owed something. My mom tried to mediate. Crying, I ran into my room. A little later she came in, begging me to hand over the money, but this time I refused. I had given in too many times in life. My compassion had brought me nothing but ruin. I was done. From now on, things would be different. Preacher had to change. A new me had to be born. I had been married for 6 years. To be honest, in the beginning my marriage was wonderful. I loved my husband deeply, and he always claimed he loved me just as much. From the very first day he came to propose, and even during our early days of getting to know each other, it was impossible for him not to mention children. Every single moment he would say things like, "Imagine holding our baby in our arms. Imagine taking our child to the park. Imagine being at a restaurant, and I'd go fetch a chair for the baby." He was obsessed with the idea of having children. He adored kids, and every time we got closer to marriage, his excitement for starting a family grew even stronger. Whenever he saw a child, he would kneel down and play with them. The kids in the family adored him. After our wedding, starting from the very first month, he asked, "So, when are we having a baby?" The first month passed, no pregnancy. A year passed, still nothing. He took me to doctors, and every single one had a different opinion. One said I was infertile, another said my uterus had problems, another suggested surgery, while yet another said I'd never have kids. And then there were some who said nothing was wrong at all, and we just had to wait. 6 years went by with this endless cycle of confusion. One day I realized I hadn't enjoyed a single moment of my marriage. Every month I lived with anxiety. Will I get my period or not? And whenever it came, I broke down, hugging my knees and crying that yet another month had gone by with no baby. I had visited countless doctors, endured unbearable stress, and for 6 years my life had been ruined by this obsession with having a child. After 5 years, my husband stopped taking me to doctors. He just stared at me blankly every month. Toward the end, he didn't even come near me anymore. I had completely fallen from his favor. Then I discovered he was seeing another woman. The day I found out, I didn't want to cause a scene with a man I had once loved more than life itself. I just packed my things and left. He never called to ask where I was. He didn't even care why I left. A month later, divorce papers arrived. That's when I knew he had made up his mind. When the summons came, he finally called and said, "Will you show up in court?" I said briefly, "Yes, I'll come." He calmly reminded me, "Remember, you said you wouldn't ask for alimony." I stayed silent. Then, more softly, he added, "I want to remarry. I need to change the house, buy new furniture. It's a lot of expenses. I'll just give you $5,000, and I hope you build a good life for yourself." To him, breaking my pride and shattering my dignity was nothing. Holding back my tears, I quietly said, "Okay, goodbye." Before the court date even arrived, he had transferred the money to my account. Somehow, my brother found out, probably through my mother. That's when he came demanding it, saying he was buying a car and needed exactly $5,000. After the awful fight with my brother, I locked myself in my room, sat on the floor, and cried my heart out. My soul felt crushed by everyone and everything. On the outside, maybe people would say I wasn't that unfortunate, that I had a family to go back to, or that infertility wasn't the end of the world. Maybe they were right. But emotionally, mentally, spiritually, I was destroyed. For 6 years, I had lived in the torment of trying to give my husband a child so he wouldn't leave me. For 6 years, I had drowned in fear, anxiety, and despair. My soul was completely shattered. In the middle of my sobs, I whispered to myself, well, what else can I do? What's left for me now? Restless, I grabbed my phone, hoping to distract myself from the mess I was in. As soon as I refreshed my Instagram feed, I froze. There it was, Homan's engagement photos. I shot up from lying down and sat cross-legged, my heart pounding violently. My husband, who wasn't even officially divorced yet, was holding another woman's hand, smiling right into the camera lens. My hands trembled as I pulled the photo closer. A chubby black woman sat next to him. Through my tears, I muttered, but he never liked black girls. He always praised my fair skin. How could he get engaged without even finalizing our divorce? Couldn't he at least wait a month until the paperwork was done? Looking at those photos, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I turned off my phone and broke down crying again. When I realized he was engaged, my heart shattered all over again. But what could I do? Nothing. So I decided I had to let it go and try to build my own life. I had studied computer science in college, so I went to a small training institute down the street and asked if they needed a computer instructor. They took my name and said they'd call me. I also applied at a couple of places for accounting and office work. They all took my number. When I got home, though, I felt so drained. I had no energy for work, but I knew if I stayed in that house too long, I'd lose my mind. I was dizzy all the time, feeling sick. I dragged myself through 2 miserable weeks until finally, the court date arrived. I slipped into whatever clothes I found and dragged myself to court. From afar, I spotted Homan. I didn't want to see him. A deep hatred burned in me. I hadn't eaten all morning from the stress. My stomach was twisting in knots. He walked toward me with that same shameless look and said, "Hey, how are you? You don't look well. Why is your face so pale?" He was so brazen, acting like nothing had happened between us. That only cut deeper. How could he betray me so cruelly and then act as if nothing was wrong? I wanted this new version of Homan, this stranger, to stay a stranger. Pulling my scarf tighter over my head, I sat down helplessly and muttered, "I'm not late, am I?" He shook his head no, stared at me for a moment, and when I glanced up, I noticed his eyes fixed on my hand. I had forgotten to take off my wedding ring. Instinctively, I looked at his hand. The wedding band was still there too. I smirked bitterly, probably the same ring he'd use with his next bride. When our names were called, I stood and walked inside. My dizziness was unbearable. As soon as we sat down, the judge asked, "This is a mutual divorce? Do you both agree?" We both answered yes. The judge repeated, "Are you sure?" Again, after a pause, we both said yes. He shuffled through some papers and asked, "Where's the pregnancy test?" Homan quickly cut in, "We're divorcing because my wife is infertile." I figured there was no need for that document. The judge opened his mouth to reply, but before he could, I tried to jump in and confirm I wasn't pregnant. The moment I opened my mouth, suddenly, I started retching. Out of nowhere, everything inside me wanted to come up. Mortified and in tears, I collapsed onto the chair, barely conscious. Someone splashed water on my face until I weakly opened my eyes. Honestly, I wish they had just let me drift away forever. As soon as I blinked awake, Homan sneered, "Really? You had to throw up here of all places? Now you'll have to go to the forensic doctor and get a test." Great, more delays. He put his arm under mine to help me up. I wanted to scream, "Don't touch me," but I had no strength. Weak and dizzy, I let my head fall against his shoulder as he guided me out of the room. He asked around for directions, got an address, and we drove to the lab. I gave my blood sample and the staff said the results would be ready the next day. Homan shoved money at them, demanding it that same day. I smirked bitterly at his urgency. He was acting as if I were some curse in his life he couldn't get rid of fast enough. Was I really that unbearable and I didn't know it? Holding back my sobs, I buried my face in my knees. The staff told us to wait about an hour and a half. I lay down on a bench, exhausted, until finally they came back with the results. Handing the paper to Human, the nurse smiled and said, "Congratulations, your wife is pregnant, about 2.5 months along." Neither of us moved. We thought she must be talking to the couple behind us. The nurse raised her voice. "Excuse me, sir, ma'am, are you deaf or what? Aren't you going to take your report? Your wife is pregnant, 2.5 months. Homan and I stared at each other in shock. He quickly snatched the paper, read it, and muttered, 2.5 months? You haven't had your period in that long." I shook my head, speechless. He stammered, "That means you're pregnant? That's impossible." We asked for the results quickly, not for the wrong results. "Run the test again." The nurse, irritated, turned to her colleague and sighed. "Look at these men these days, so shameless because he wanted to finalize the divorce. He kept insisting I wasn't pregnant." I thought, fine, take me for an ultrasound. They'll see instantly if I'm pregnant or not. Homan grabbed my wrist and yanked me along. I struggled and begged, "Let me go," but he dragged me out forcefully, as if I were nothing. He shoved me into the car. I was sobbing, screaming, "Let me go. I want to leave." And even I couldn't understand why I was crying so uncontrollably. With anger, he snapped, "You haven't had your period in 2.5 months. Wiping my tears, I shouted back, "The last meds the doctor gave me messed up my cycles. How was I supposed to know? Yes, I haven't had it, but so what? Obviously, the lab messed up since you demanded the results so quickly. Just leave me alone, I feel sick, I'm dizzy, I want to throw up." Driving furiously, he rushed me to another doctor and threw money at them to let us in without an appointment. Inside, they performed the ultrasound. The doctor smiled and said, "Your wife is about 2.5 months pregnant." We both stared at the monitor in silence, stunned. I blurted out, "Doctor, is that inside me?" She looked at me, puzzled. "Of course it is. What kind of question is that? Didn't you say you couldn't conceive for years?" That's when I broke down completely. Tears streaming down my face, filled with rage, I cried out, "I don't want this baby." Homan lifted his head in shock, staring at me. I pushed the ultrasound machine away, grabbed tissues, and angrily wiped the gel from my stomach. Through clenched teeth, I shouted, "I hate you and I hate this baby. I swear I will never give birth to this child. Sure, maybe our divorce will be delayed a few months, but it's still going to happen." I stormed out of the doctor's office, sobbing. The doctor rushed after me, warning, "You can't think this way. This is dangerous for you. The baby is already developed." But I ignored her, crying hysterically as I left. Homan caught up and with brute force shoved me back into the car, slamming the door. He didn't care that he had just gotten engaged or that he had invited relatives to celebrate. None of that mattered to him anymore. All that mattered was he was becoming a father. And that was exactly what I hated, the fact that he valued the baby, but not me. I felt worthless, even resented the child inside me, because it made me feel like nothing. I kept fighting, crying, begging him to let me go home, but he wouldn't. Finally, he drove me back to our old place. As he pressed the remote to open the garage, I turned to him in tears. "Homan, take me back. Do you really think you can take care of me here?" He looked at me and muttered, "Stop being so stubborn. God gave us this child, why can't you be happy? Let's go back to our home, to our life." Through uncontrollable sobs, I spat out, "I hate it. Even though I just found out it's inside me, I hate this baby more than anything. I hate you. I hate both of you. You disgust me. I swear, if you take me upstairs, I'll end it all. On my father's soul, the one person I loved most, I'll do it. Take me back to my mother's house, or you'll regret it." For a moment, he looked at me desperately. Then I glanced at the door and hissed, "You already brought your new woman here, didn't you? She's cooked with my pots, lived in my home. You let her in before I even left. And now you want to drag me back into the same house she's been in." Fuming, he shouted, "That's what you're upset about? I haven't even touched her. I'll tell her my wife is pregnant and she'll walk away. Don't think about her." I wiped my tears and said firmly, "I can't. Take me to my parents' house right now." I promise I won't do anything reckless, at least not without telling you. But if you take me upstairs, I swear I'll end my life. And you know me, I keep my word. I've always been stubborn, and when I swear, I mean it. Cursing under his breath, he turned the car around and drove me to my mother's house. Before I stepped out, he grabbed my hand one last time and pleaded, "Pray, you promised me. If you hurt this baby, I swear I'll do something you'd never imagine." I yanked my hand free and whispered, "I hope you live long enough to regret this child," then got out. I rang the doorbell and went upstairs. My mother took one look at my tear-streaked face, sighed, and assumed the divorce was finalized. She started crying too. I collapsed onto the couch and told her everything. She stared at me, stunned, and said, "So all those days of nausea, throwing up, not eating, it was because you were pregnant? My God, if he was going to give you a child, why now? Why after your marriage has been destroyed, after your hearts have turned cold toward each other? What kind of cruel timing is this?" I lay down on the couch, muttering nonsense, my head pounding. Eventually, I drifted off into sleep. When I woke up, I checked my phone. Homan had sent a message, "Let me come pick you up. We need to talk." I ignored it. Instead, I opened Instagram and saw he had deleted his engagement photos. I let out a bitter laugh. The more I saw, the more I despised him. Not only did I not reply to his message, I blocked him completely. That day passed, and the next morning I woke up to a new day. I thought I could hear Homan's voice. Sleepy and confused, I opened the door and stepped into the stairwell. I wasn't wrong, his voice was coming from downstairs, mixed with my mom's. She was inviting him in. Shocked, I quickly went back inside. Before I could gather myself, my mom opened the door and right behind her, Homan walked in. I rubbed my sleepy eyes and looked at them. My mom smiled and said, "Homan came to talk to you." I frowned. Why would he come without asking me first? She had never been the type to interfere in my life, and that was the best thing about her. Almost too quickly, she said, "I'll go to my room. I have to call my doctor," and disappeared, leaving us alone. When the door shut, I turned my eyes back to Homan. He came closer and said softly, "Are you okay? Yesterday you were really unwell. I was worried about you, so I came to check. I looked into his eyes, trying to speak rationally, but then I noticed how his gaze was sliding over me, hungrily, shamelessly. Even though he was my husband, it made my skin crawl. I quickly grabbed my mom's coat from the kitchen counter and put it on. He smirked. I walked up to him and said coldly, "Look, I'm not playing hard to get. I'm not doing this to get revenge on you. I'm not trying to trap you because I got pregnant. The truth is simple, I hate you. I hate you so much it's hard to even describe it. I hate you, and I hate the baby growing inside me just as much. My mental state is so broken, so destroyed thanks to you, that if you keep hanging around, I can't promise I won't hurt myself. Leave. Don't come near me. I don't have the energy to deal with you. If you have even a shred of sense left, you'll see that I'm truly not okay. I don't even know where I am half the time, let alone sit here and talk about fixing things with you. Just go. Stop tormenting me." He lowered his voice and said, "Why are you saying this? I know I've made mistakes. But this, having a child, it's been my lifelong dream. When people love something deeply, they'll do anything for it. Everyone's like that. If you want to act cold, fine, I'll put up with it. If you want to blame me, fine, I'll take it. Say the word and I'll agree. I won't refuse you anything. Just come back with me. Let's go home. Let's raise our child together. I promise I'll treat you in a way that will make you forget these hard days." My throat tightened, tears burning my eyes. I whispered desperately, "I swear I can't handle you. Even hearing your voice makes me sick. Please leave." When he realized I was serious, he looked hurt. Without another word, he stormed out like a sulking child. My mom walked out of her room, smiling. "Why would you talk to him like that? Saying you're disgusted by him? That's too much." I almost laughed. Nobody understood me. They all thought I was just angry and saying things I didn't mean. But it was real. I truly was disgusted by him. Homan felt like the filthiest, most vile man on earth. 2 hours later, the doorbell rang. My mom went downstairs, opened the door, and minutes later I heard a man's voice shouting, "Bring it up." I jumped nervously into my room. When I finally came back out, half the kitchen was filled with stuff, juices, fruit, sweets, nuts, even pineapples. My mom said, "Looks like Homan sent these for you." I forced a bitter smile. He used to pull this kind of stunt when we first met. I hated it then, and I hate it even more now. That night, my brother Arash was over the moon, stuffing himself with everything until his stomach swelled. He was older than me, but still so immature, always falling in and out of love and drowning in heartbreak. The next morning, I woke up to a message from Homan. I went to see a psychologist. They said I should give you space. They said it's just your hormones that are making you hate me right now. I scoffed bitterly. Oh sure, it has nothing to do with the awful things you did. Nothing to do with the 6 years you put me through hell, making me cry month after month when I failed to get pregnant, while you ignored me. Nothing to do with all the doctors who stabbed me with needles for no reason. Nothing to do with how much I suffered. No, it's just hormones. I didn't care anymore. I hated this baby too. I called a friend of mine who is a nurse. I asked, if I want to end this pregnancy, what do I need to do? She gave me an address where I could get it done quickly and quietly. I got ready. It was springtime, April, I think. Before leaving, I opened the fridge to drink some water, and suddenly the smell of green plums hit me. I grabbed a few and ate them, then wanted more. That's when I realized the only craving I had during this pregnancy was for sour plums. Until then, I had thought I was just sick because I kept throwing everything up. I didn't even know I was pregnant. And now, for the first time in this entire ordeal, I actually like something. I poured the entire bag of green plums into a plastic bag and took them with me. I got into a taxi and headed to the address I'd been given. The doctor I met there was classy and beautiful. She sighed and said, "It's such a shame this isn't legal in our country." It should be. That way, innocent children who were never meant to be born wouldn't have to suffer in this world. But don't worry, I do things properly here. She had me step on the scale first. My jaw dropped. I'd lost 10 kilos. I told her I'd been sick the whole time. She did an ultrasound, and when she looked at the screen, a sad smile spread across her face. "My dear, my beautiful girl," she said softly, "you came a little late. The baby has entered the 3rd stage. It's 3 months now. Based on the exam, your uterus is very weak. If we go through with this, the risk is too high. You might never be able to get pregnant again. You struggled so long to conceive in the first place. I know you're angry and your hormones are all over the place. After so much pain, this baby came into your life. Don't do this. Let it be born. You don't have to accept the father, but you can accept the child. Children are far sweeter than you realize. Did you know that after an abortion like this, depression will crush you? Please, don't do this to yourself." I looked at her tearfully. She was speaking from the heart, trying to save me. Wiping my tears, I stood up. There was no choice but to leave. I walked out of the clinic, devastated. I didn't know what to do. All I knew was that I hated everything, especially Homan and this baby. In the taxi, a mother and her little girl got in beside me. The girl must have been 3 or 4 years old. She was so adorable, chatting with her mom in the sweetest way, that my heart softened just a little. For the first time in days, I felt a flicker of hope. I got off near my street and walked home. Outside, I saw Homan leaning against his car. The moment he saw me, he rushed over, talking fast, desperate. I didn't listen. I didn't care what he said. I unlocked the door, went inside, and slammed it shut. The only thing that could calm me was a shower. Afterward, I collapsed into bed. When I woke up, I smelled food. My mom had made lasagna, my favorite. But I didn't want to touch it. She stroked my hair gently and said, "What can I make you eat? You haven't touched food in days. You're wasting away. Later, you'll regret it. You don't realize you're responsible for the baby in your belly. All this sadness, all this stress, you're passing it on to the child. When the baby grows, when it goes to school, if it struggles to focus, if it has 1,000 problems, you'll regret it. But it'll be too late. Take care of yourself now. Be happy. Live. If you want to go back to your husband, fine. If not, forget him. Raise your child alone. That man doesn't deserve you anyway." I sighed. Mom, I want to do everything you're saying, I really do. But I'm drowning in depression. I don't even want to walk, to live, to watch a movie, to check my phone. I can't even sleep. I'm just a sad, hollow person staring at the walls all day. She brushed my hair again and whispered, "Don't wait for a savior. No one's coming to rescue you. Stand up. Save yourself. Forget the past. Look to the future. Look at the present." I gave a bitter smile. The present is miserable. The future with a baby? That's a joke. Forget it, Mom. I don't want to eat. Leave me alone. She asked softly, "Can I at least bring you a glass of juice?" I sneered. Not any of the garbage he sent. I won't touch it. I don't want this child to resemble him. She chuckled. So what will you do about his genes? Like it or not, the baby will look like him. And it's not for you, it's for the baby. He's the father. He's supposed to provide. Just let the baby have it. At least try the cherry compote he brought. It's delicious. She placed the compote and a slice of homemade chocolate cake in my room, then left. I didn't touch them. Instead, I drifted into sleep, and in that sleep, I dreamed of a little boy playing with me. Sometimes, when despair consumes you, God sends you a sign. That dream felt like a sign. I was wearing a blue dress, playing in a garden with a little boy. He was so sweet and lovable that when I held him in my arms, I felt like I was holding God himself. That feeling was so pure and overwhelming that when I woke up, all my hatred toward the baby disappeared. I was completely certain then, the baby inside me was a boy. With just one dream, my whole life was turned upside down. From the very next morning, I no longer hated the baby. I searched on my phone and found the best specialist. I went to see her. She opened a file for my pregnancy, wrote down the tests I needed, gave me some medicine, and looked at my ultrasound. She said the baby was weak, and honestly, I was in worse shape than the baby. She told me I needed to get stronger. I went to the pharmacy, bought the medicine she prescribed, and then, with the little money left on my card, I went shopping. Every time I used to leave the OB/GYN's office, I would look longingly at the maternity dresses. This time, I finally bought two. But even as I carried them home, I couldn't feel happy. In fact, I was mostly sad. Even the act of buying them didn't cheer me up. I picked up the two dresses, then went to a restaurant to eat lunch. But my stomach was so unsettled, I couldn't keep much down. Afterward, I took a cab home. As soon as I opened the door and stepped inside, I saw Homan standing on the staircase, talking to my mom. The sight of him made me instantly angry. Just when I was starting to feel a little better, he always showed up and ruined everything. I closed the door and walked inside. Both of them came toward me. Homan, angry, demanded, "Where have you been?" I snapped at my mom. "Why do you even let him inside? What is he doing in our home? Get out of here." In my room, I tossed my things on the bed, pulled the curtains open to let some light in, and saw Homan standing under the window. As soon as he noticed me, he smiled. I stared at him for a moment. Why was this man so shameless? With gestures, he tried to tell me to come down so we could go out together. I ignored him and went to lie down. Days passed. Every day he would show up, or call, or text. I ignored him all the same. Instead, I focused on the books I'd bought, practiced meditation, and tried to create peace for myself. Little by little, I started feeling slightly better. In the evenings, I would go for walks. In the mornings, I would practice gratitude and read books about pregnancy and babies so I could learn more. At night, I would argue playfully with my cheeky younger brother, though honestly, I was never good with words. Whatever I lacked in wit, he had triple. In my room, I tossed my things on the bed, pulled the curtains open to let some light in, and saw Homan standing under the window. As soon as he noticed me, he smiled. I stared at him for a moment. Why was this man so shameless? With gestures, he tried to tell me to come down so we could go out together. I ignored him and went to lie down. Days passed. Every day he would show up, or call, or text. I ignored him all the same. Instead, I focused on the books I'd bought, practiced meditation, and tried to create peace for myself. Little by little, I started feeling slightly better. In the evenings, I would go for walks. In the mornings, I would practice gratitude and read books about pregnancy and babies so I could learn more. At night, I would argue playfully with my cheeky younger brother, though honestly, I was never good with words. Whatever I lacked in wit, he had triple. About 2 months passed, and my belly finally started to show. I still hadn't gone for a gender ultrasound. After 2 months, Homan called me again. I didn't answer. He called every single day, but I kept ignoring him. Finally, he texted, "I beg you, please answer. I swear on whoever you love most, just pick up. I swear on your father's soul, please answer. I loved my dad so much, and I had lost him far too soon." Reading that broke me. So, reluctantly, I answered. "Hello, Perry," he said softly. I stayed silent. After a pause, he said, "You're driving me insane. I know I hurt you badly, but do you have any idea how much you're torturing me now? I'm going crazy for you and the baby, but you've shut me out of both your lives. Have you gone to the doctor to check the gender? It's already been a month since they could tell. Maybe more than a month and a half. But you haven't even told me. I'm the father, I have rights too." Exhausted, I answered flatly, "I haven't had time. And you have no rights to this baby. Go have a child with that woman you married. Just stop bothering us." He snapped, furious. "What kind of nonsense is that? Please, don't drive me crazy. I've gone completely gray because of you. What do you mean you haven't had time to go?" He said, "Let me pick you up tomorrow morning and take you there." I replied, "No, I don't want to." With a sad tone, he begged, "Please, let me come. We can go together, hear the baby's heartbeat, and find out the gender. Then we'll talk a little, and I'll bring you back home. Perry, you know very well I could use force if I wanted to. I could drag you to my house, but I don't want that. I want you to come willingly, from your heart. Stop acting like a child. Don't make me show you my other side." Stubbornly, I snapped, "Oh really? What are you gonna do? Who do you think you are, threatening me like this? Every time you call, I block your number, and yet you shamelessly keep calling again. Weren't you the same man I left, who never once asked why I walked away? Weren't you the one who posted engagement photos without even divorcing me first? The one who turned his back to me every night, lying in bed while chatting with another woman? And now you dare to call me every day? If I kept this baby, it's not because of you. It's because I couldn't go through with ending the pregnancy. I went as far as the clinic, but the doctor said it was almost impossible. That's why I came back. Now, as the baby grows and moves inside me, I feel attached to it. But every time I remember it's yours, I hate it. Just disappear from my life. What more do you want from me? I try so hard not to disrespect you, but you have no right to keep calling me, threatening me, saying you'll drag me by force. If you think you can, go ahead, try. See if you can." I hung up. The next morning, I thought to myself, why haven't I gone for the ultrasound yet? I wanted to know how the baby was doing. I called the clinic and they told me to come in. I got up to get dressed when suddenly someone knocked on the door. No one else was home, my brother was out, and my mom had gone for a walk. I opened the door and saw a huge man holding it with one hand. Another man was by the car trunk. Then I saw Homan. He grabbed me by the legs and lifted me into the car. No matter how hard I kicked and struggled, they wouldn't let me go. One of them even covered my mouth so I couldn't scream for help. Homan and I sat in the back while one of the men drove. At the last moment, I noticed another man closing the door and walking away. My hair was a mess, I was out of breath, and I glared at Homan. Calmly, he said, "See? I told you I could do it." I realized then I had never been able to stop him from getting what he wanted. No matter how hard I resisted, he always won. Feeling helpless, I broke into tears. Shamelessly, he handed me a tissue, then pulled me against him, holding me tight as if nothing was wrong. They dragged me all the way up into his apartment. And the moment I stepped inside, I felt an ache of longing. It was still my home. After the divorce, I had planned to come back and pack my belongings, but everything was still exactly where I'd left it. Instead of yelling at him for forcing me there, I just collapsed onto the floor. I didn't even have the strength to sit on the couch. He sat next to me, nervous, and asked, "Are you okay?" "Don't pretend, you're scaring me." Under my breath, I muttered, "Damn you, can you just bring me a glass of water?" He immediately rushed to the kitchen and came back with one. I drank a little. They had dragged me here wearing only jeans, a tank top, and my hair loose, without even shoes. I looked around hopelessly, shaking my head in silent despair. I glanced at the clock. I still had my ultrasound appointment. "I'm going to the doctor," I said. "You may have had the guts to drag me here, but now let me go. I still have my clothes." He brought me a coat and scarf from the bedroom, and my shoes from the closet. He grabbed my wrist firmly and said, "If you ever run from me, I'll find you. Don't forget that." With tears in my eyes, I told him, "Can't you see how broken I am? I don't even have the strength to run. Just take me to the doctor." It took me forever to get this appointment. We went to the clinic. The doctor examined me and said I had been taking good care of myself, that both my health and the baby's condition had improved. Homan stared at the monitor like a child, completely mesmerized, whispering sweet words to the baby. Then he asked, "Doctor, what's the gender?" The doctor looked surprised. "You didn't know? It's a chubby little boy. Very active, he keeps moving around." My voice broke, and I whispered, "Don't say that, doctor." But she smiled. "He looks just like his father." With excitement, Homan said, "His hormones are a bit off, that's all. Don't worry." Oh, my beautiful baby boy. Inside, I was sick with disgust. Afterward, he dragged me back home again. He quickly filled up the fridge as if nothing had happened. He bent over and bowed in front of me like some servant, and, honestly, it only made me hate him more. I couldn't tell if that was normal or not. My mom called to ask if I was okay, and if she should come pick me up. I told her no, that I wanted to stay and see if I could somehow get used to him. The only positive thing about Homan was that in the evenings, when he came home, he would take me out in the car and drive me all over the city. I'd sit there in silence, staring out at everything, and for a little while my mood would lift. My pregnancy passed, but nothing erased the torment and abuse I had suffered before. The resentment I carried inside never faded. I still hated him, right up until the moment I was preparing to give birth. Just before labor began, he asked me, "Don't you want to say something to me?" In the middle of contractions, in excruciating pain, I answered, "Yes." "I hate you, Homan. I hate you so much there are no words. My hatred for you will never end." He stared at me, shaken, while the nurse shook her head in pity and wheeled me into the operating room. When I woke up after delivery, they placed the baby in my arms. It was as if my entire wiring had been scrambled. That wild, angry, bitter woman disappeared in an instant. In her place, a gentle, soft woman was born, one who couldn't stop crying. They put the baby in my arms and I sobbed uncontrollably. Homan walked in and I burst into tears again. My mom came in and I cried again. When they handed me the baby to nurse, I cried even harder. That bastard Homan had messed up my mind so badly over the past 6 years that no team of psychologists in the world could have fixed me. But now, holding the baby, something had shifted. Homan, realizing I had softened, took advantage of the moment. He kept leaning in to kiss me, kissing the baby, gazing at our child with a kind of awe, like he'd never seen a baby before. Slowly, his family began arriving at the hospital to see the baby. They all gathered in my room, and his opportunistic brother, noticing Homan's joy, asked him for money. Homan, caught up in happiness, transferred it to him right away. When we finally went home, the house was spotless and the freezer was full. Homan and I had cleaned and stocked everything before heading to the hospital so that I wouldn't struggle too much afterward. And it worked. My mom didn't have a hard time either, since everything was already prepared. Every morning, she only had to cook. Homan would come home from work and tidy up while I cared for the baby. 2 months passed after the birth. One night, when the baby had finally stopped crying, I woke up to find myself asleep in Homan's arms, with our child nestled between us. I couldn't even tell when I had gotten so close to him again. All I knew was that if Homan hadn't been by my side after childbirth, I would have been destroyed. Those first weeks were brutal. The baby cried nonstop, and if it weren't for him, I don't know how I would have survived. He took the baby so I could shower. He cleaned the house. He did the laundry, hung it out to dry, washed the baby's clothes by hand. He brought me meals on time. He helped so much. One day, I suddenly realized I was holding his hand and kissing it out of gratitude. It felt like all that hatred had melted away and that we were now hand in hand, fighting through this stage together. Maybe his therapist had been right. Maybe my hormones during pregnancy had been so unstable that I had hated him with every fiber of my being. About 2.5 months after giving birth, one night when little Arda was asleep, I tucked in his blanket, fixed Homan's blanket too, and headed to the kitchen. Even though I was exhausted from lack of sleep, I had to cook. I rinsed the rice and set it to boil, then took out some chicken and sautéed it with onions. While stirring, my eyes landed on Homan's phone. Since the day we married, his password had always been the same: my birthday, his birthday, and the day we met. Out of curiosity, I tried it. The code still worked. His wallpaper was a picture of the three of us, me, Homan, and the baby. I was in a worn-out sweatshirt with red, tired eyes. He was in a simple tank top. The baby was in a onesie in our arms. We had taken that photo by the window one night. I went through his messages, nothing suspicious. His call history, nothing strange. I checked his gallery, photo after photo of me. Old ones. Pictures from the hospital. Shots of me falling asleep with the baby in my arms. Part 5. I put the phone back and told myself it was time to forget the past and finally enjoy life, no matter what had happened before. The chicken was browning, so I poured in boiling water and covered the pot. I washed dishes, sterilized the baby's pacifier and bottle, vacuumed the living room, wiped the tables. By the time my back was breaking, the baby started crying. I nursed him, and right then Homan woke up. I handed him the baby so he could burp him, while I grabbed the baby's blanket and went to change his diaper. I bent down to take the baby from him when suddenly Homan said, "Perry, am I asleep or awake?" I looked at him wide-eyed, startled. He gave me a sad smile and whispered, "So you mean I'm actually awake, living these days? You're beside me, food's cooking, the baby's in my arms with little hiccups, and this is my dream life. I keep thinking I must be dreaming. But if this is real, I swear to God I'll serve you for the rest of my life. I'll make up for the past, for all the hard times we went through together." I wanted to tell him, nothing can ever be repaid the way you imagine. I'll never forget that your first priority was the baby. I'll never forget the pain you put me through because of him. But I had no choice except to accept it, for the sake of the very child he was holding in his arms. Now, 2 years have passed since those days. Just 2 months ago, when Homan came home from work, little Arda was bouncing excitedly, wanting to be picked up. But Homan hugged me first, before bending down to scoop up the baby. As I laughed and teased him, a thought crossed my mind. When did we fall in love like this? When did we become each other's first priority? Maybe it was the moment we both decided to make things right. Maybe it was when we lost each other and finally realized our worth. It seemed like all that time I had left the house, he had suffered deeply, and when I came back, he truly valued me. Now I've reached a place in life where the past doesn't matter anymore. Not even that ridiculous engagement. I never found out what happened to that woman, how she disappeared so completely that I never learned a thing. Even the family never spoke of her. These days, every night, the three of us go out together. And on nights we don't feel like going out, we put Arda to sleep, sit beside each other, share fruit, laugh, joke, and enjoy one another's presence. I'm so grateful I gave him another chance. And I'm so glad the hatred really left my heart. I'm not pretending to love him, I truly do. And soon he'll hear this story too. Once it's ready, I'll send it to him, and we'll both read your comments together. Thank you, my dear friends, for listening to our story until the very end. I promise to bring you the most amazing, raw, and beautiful stories. All I ask is for your support, like, comment, and if you enjoy these stories, check out the channel, full of incredible ones written by me. Stories you won't find anywhere else. That's it, I won't talk too much more. Take care of yourselves, and I wish you all the very best. God bless.